Welcome to the County Manager's Report. I'm Lloyd Higuera. With me is Douglas County Manager Larry Werner. Welcome, Larry.
Thank you, Lloyd.
Nice to have you here, and we're going to have a discussion of the September 15th meeting of the Douglas County Board of Commissioners. At that meeting, commissioners did approve acceptance of a $4,457,028 Federal Aviation Administration grant for the Minden Tahoe Airport. That's to complete airport projects. And what are some of those projects to be completed there? They've got a lot of money to work with.
They did. Well, there's been an overall plan for doing improvements at the airport, and it was planned to be over several years. It turns out the FAA ended up with extra money in the region, and the Minden Tahoe Airport has done so well with their grants that they basically offered a whole package to the airport. The things they're looking at is a rehabilitation of the runway lighting. It's pretty dated and needs to be updated. To do the engineering for an expanded ramp for gliders, and then to complete an airport perimeter fence. So the lighting and the perimeter fence will probably take place within about 90 days after we get final approval of the grant, and then the engineering for the runway lighting will take engineering for the expanded glider ramp will take a little bit longer, but everything should be done within probably 6 to 8 months. So.
Wow, that's great. Well, it's good our airport has that kind of a reputation with the Federal Aviation Administration that they would
yeah, Bobby
look
Thompson,
toward us to spend the money with us.
Yes, Bobby Thompson has done a fantastic job out there really making things happen. So
yeah, that's great. Well, speaking of the airport, commissioners also adopted a resolution, and that was establishing the Minden Tahoe Airport Aviation Roundup as an ongoing Douglas County event. Does that give the event some special status, or?
I think it does. I think Bobby had been putting those on, kind of as they came up, and now it's determined that this is something she wants to do every year, and it's gotten huge international acceptance. The different flying groups, I don't know, like the Blue Angels and the Thunderbirds, and those are all vying for competition to see who can show up at the roundup. And then this year there's a lady that does wing walking. There's all kinds of
wing walking.
Yes, it's been a while since you've probably seen that. All kinds of aircraft aerobatics and stuff. So it's really quite an event.
Yeah.
And she's already looking at what happens in 2000s. Well, this will be 2017, but stretching things out for the years to come. But by making it an annual event like that, then she can sit down and plan all these for years to come, and it's pretty exciting.
Well, bringing the Thunderbirds to town was phenomenal,
yes.
And that was a fantastic show.
Yeah.
And seeing those precision, flying over the Carson Valley was amazing.
Yes, yeah.
It was fantastic. So we'll look forward to some more of that. Huh?
Yes, yes.
Okay, on a more regular type basis.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Also at the September 15th meeting, commissioners did make an appointment to the Douglas County Planning Commission. And who left and who's coming on?
Well, Jim Beatty submitted his letter of resignation, and effective for the end of this year. And Stacy Noyes is the one who was selected by the board out of about 4 applicants. And I think she's the inn manager for the Lakeside Inn.
Oh, okay.
So she'll be a welcome addition, kind of represents Lake Tahoe on the Planning Commission, so that's a good thing.
Okay, all right, so we have a new member of the Planning Commission. That'd be the first of the year that'll take place? Or?
Yes.
Okay,
yeah.
Very good. Commissioners also approved an interlocal agreement that was between Nevada Division of Environmental Protection and Douglas County for the Lake Tahoe maximum daily load. We haven't talked about this in a while. Can you tell us more about the TMDL and what commissioners committed themselves to?
Oh boy, yeah, where do you want to start? Essentially, this is part of the overall Lake Tahoe Clarity Program and
right.
Under the federal permits. The way it's worked out between Douglas and Washoe is to not actually get their own permits from, I guess they were their own permits, and actually work on an operating agreement or an interlocal agreement with the Nevada Division of Environmental Protection. And it allows a little more cooperation and a little more flexibility in how we achieve some of the pollution reduction results that we are required to do. In this case, mostly it's dealing with the fine particulate matter, dust and stuff that collect on the roadways and need to be removed before they can get into the lake. So actually it's kind of like a permit, but it's a little softer. And it meets our, I believe they're 5-year requirements is what we're dealing with, 5 years at a time.
So the total maximum daily load, that is an amount.
Oh, I'm sorry.
of-
Yes.
No, but that is an amount of stuff that can go into the lake in
Yes.
a certain day, on a daily basis.
daily basis.
There is a, I mean, it's almost impossible to stop it, like you say, dust and things. You can't, what can you do? How
Right.
can you harness that?
Right. Well, yeah, but you're right. What happens is based on the particular pollutant that's going into the lake, they look and see what's a reasonable amount that you could reduce that to, and
I
then
see.
set that as a maximum limit. And then all the improvements we do up there, including maintenance activities such as street sweeping and those sorts of things, are there to reduce that load that actually would go into the lake below that maximum limit that's been set. So it's a combination of building structures and then doing kind of preventative maintenance kind of activities, like I said, street sweeping or other kinds of things they can do.
And Douglas County has really been a leader in this particular program, hasn't it?
Yes, the permit actually comes to, or the requirements come to the county, and then the county's been very proactive in getting it done. A lot of the work has to go to I guess the kudos for doing a lot of the work goes to the general improvement districts in the lake area. A lot of them have taken that on as something that they want to do as well. And what's nice about that is it does count toward the county's obligation to do the reductions. So without the GIDs, it'd be pretty difficult for the county to do their portion up there.
Okay, well, very interesting. Also, commissioners ranked and submitted grant proposals for the 2016 second round of funding for the Federal Housing and Urban Development Community Development Block Grants. And which grant proposals are being submitted?
Well, there was two that came to the board. One was a continuation of the town of Gardnerville's Eagle gas station renovation. And the second one was actually the building we're filming in now, was by the Carson Valley Arts Council, to remove the storm drain line that goes through the back half of the building. And the gas station one was about $294,000, and the Carson Valley Arts Council was about $121,000. The board picked the Eagle Valley Gas Renovation Project as the one that they saw as the one that they would want to recommend that goes to the state now for being ranked in priority with other projects that may come in into the second round. So we'll have to wait and see how that fares out, but that's where it goes now.
Well, before you leave, I'll take you in the back and show you that
I
line
gotta
that
look
comes
at
through.
it.
It's huge.
As an engineer, I've never run a line through a building like that, so it's something new. You know?
Yeah, it's right in the back of the building there. It's amazing. So the Eagle gas station was the one that was number one on the
Correct.
list. I see.
Correct.
And did they rate them like would the Arts Council be number 2 or something on the
Yes,
list?
they actually go in a priority ranking, right?
I see.
Yeah, they both go forward, one ranked 1 and one ranked 2, and then
Right.
ultimately there will be a priority setting committee at the state level that determines.
But the state has the ultimate
Correct.
decision to make. Okay, well, we'll watch that one. Also, commissioners adopted a resolution authorizing the purchase of $410,000 worth of equipment, improving and replacing the county's 911 dispatch console equipment. So is this an upgrade of their system?
Yeah, upgrade and replacement. Essentially, the dispatch councils are run by by computers. And the ones that we've had there for years are the old PC-based, the old style version, and a lot of the software that makes those run is no longer supported by the companies because the equipment's so old. And it's kind of been on a case by case, and we finally received notice that they are no longer going to support that. And then there was a power surge that occurred, I think, several months ago, maybe it was June or July, that kind of hit the valley area. And that created havoc in there amongst the equipment. And they were able to buy some replacement parts on eBay, which is not a good way to support your emergency response group. But
It's kind of like rolling the dice.
It is. So the decision was made to actually get out and get it replaced. They had been programming it and had been saving up money toward that. It's just that it happened a lot quicker than we anticipated. So we're using funds that were collected through those organizations, the emergency dispatch and the telecommunications system for the county, and we've been putting money in reserves to pay this. What we're doing here is actually, since it was in reserves, we can't withdraw it in a particular year. It's a budget violation to take it out in that same year you reserve it. So we'll borrow against a fund that we have, and then we'll do an inter-fund loan, and we'll pay that back next budget year.
I
So,
see.
A little complicated paperwork, but
But
that's
you
where
can
we're
get
at.
it done.
We can get it done.
That's the main thing. Yeah, technology is great, but it changes all the time.
Right,
It never stops.
Did you want to do that one?
Also, at the meeting, there was a presentation and discussion regarding the status of the North Valley wastewater treatment plant. And what was discussed and what action was taken on that item?
The process we use in designing a major facility is to go through kind of the initial design concept, and then you go through a 10% design, and ultimately 30%, 60%, 90% as the engineering firm that's doing the design work prepares the drawings. When we got to 30% drawings, we could do a lot better job of costing what the components were going to be, and it looks like it's going to be exceeding what our original estimate was when this program was put together. So we felt it wise to bring it to the board that, hey, we're seeing this rise in construction costs or cost estimate, and although it may actually go down as we get further into design, we wanted to make everybody aware that if we were to go to bid right now, we're probably beyond our estimate. But it was more of an informational item to let them know the steps we're taking and how we're trying to reduce costs, you know, with what we're seeing now, and yet again what we might have to do. So the second part of that was trying to figure out, okay, if that happens, then where are the funds coming from to pay for that? And we identified several sources there, one of them being some additional redevelopment authority funds out of Area 1. Some of them could be out of the reserves at the utility itself, but just to kind of give a heads up.
I see. What kind of dollar amounts are involved there? I mean, is it in the millions or?
Yes, we were talking, I think we were talking 12 million was our original estimate.
Wow.
And I think it looks like it could be increased by another 2 to 2.5 million, depending on what happens now with construction costs and those sorts of things.
Sure. Okay. Also, commissioners adopted an ordinance amending Douglas County Code in regard to China Springs Youth Camp. This was because of an error removing the 10th Judicial District representative from the advisory board. This item has taken quite a while to get cleaned up, hasn't it? I mean,
It has.
it's been around. We've talked about it 2 or 3 times now.
Yeah, and essentially the China Springs Youth Camp operates under the oversight of the different district judge districts. And as the state has created different districts throughout this area, then we modify the ordinance to include those into the oversight committee. And in the process of adding District 11, which was just created, the typo was that we changed 10 to 11 and brought it forward, and then realized we had inadvertently left out 10. So we had to go back and put District 10 back in. So
Yeah. So is it finally back in now?
I think it is.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I think we're all clean now, yes.
Oh, that's good. Well, that pretty much wraps up the meeting of the 15th. We move on, of course, to October, and I wonder if you have a preview of any of the items commissioners will be considering in the month of October.
I do. We just pulled up a draft agenda this morning. On the consent calendar, very quickly, is a lot of the routine things from finance, clerk, treasurer, on the reporting and stuff. There's some liquor board items. There's, I believe, 1, 2, 3 liquor board items. Most of them are routine, either changing responsible parties. I don't exactly remember what the exact term is, but if there's a general manager that changes, then the liquor board needs to approve the new person as being the
Right.
general manager. And then there's a special event being requested by the Pink House for having a 1-year anniversary celebration. So it's more of an outdoor festival kind of thing. And then, let's see, the third one was a liquor license for the Sierra Market that will be located at 1532 US Highway 395 North. So that's a new application. So, and then Public Works, we've got 4 items there. These are pretty routine. They're basically getting engineering services to begin to design work on some facilities that we need to do some upgrades on. The one is up at the Lake Tahoe Administration Building. The HVA system, the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning system has actually worn out, and we need to get in there. But the way the building was designed, originally it was kind of designed with the HVA system being installed while the roof and everything was being completed. Well, we're going to have to kind of get in there and do that. So this is to hire the architect to start doing the design work on that. That cost us $132,000 just to do the design work, and we're looking at a couple $1 million there for the ultimate project. And then for some professional services, we also are hiring an engineering company to redesign and upgrade the emergency power at the Justice and Law Enforcement Center here in Minden, and that's $62,000 for the architect there. A third one is to buy a portable air compressor for road maintenance. The reason it's on the board is we'll be taking that from a fund that requires board action to take it out of that fund. That's $17,000. And then the other item is to renew a contract for janitorial services for the next 2 years. So that'll be going forward. And then East Fork has a series of things. I don't know if I should talk about East Fork since it's a separate district, but they've got their typical reporting on their funds and fees and the report of revenues, more administrative than anything else. And then they did receive a grant from the state for the emergency response team, and this is to support and maintain the Douglas County Citizens Emergency Response Team, provide them for some travel, training, that sort of thing, and that's a grant acceptance, and that's $18,000. And then we get into the actual administrative calendar. The airport, we were just talking about that. They're doing an actual update to the airport master plan, and then Bobby Thompson is bringing that forward to kind of present that to the board and what's being looked at there. And let's see, on the district attorney, we have the Job's Peak Grant settlement. We started that up at the lake, and it got continued down to the valley. There was some question on who actually was the party that we're settling with, and there got to be a lot of confusion. So the DA's office pulled that back and rewrote that to kind of clarify that. It's with the Five Creek LLC is actually who the group is that we're having a settlement over a lawsuit on. And then there is a modification for a trust, a conservation easement, and that has to do with Sierra Country Estates. And the county ended up with a couple of lots that were part of a settlement agreement on that, and we're going to need to modify how the conservation easement lies on those lands. And that's it. So it should be a fairly quiet meeting.
Okay.
So.
It sounded kind of busy the way you described it.
Yeah.
But you talked a lot about the consent items too.
Yes.
But the consent items can be pulled anytime anybody wants to talk more about them. So.
Yeah. And it's always a risk to determine what should go on consent and then what should actually be an action item. And we try to put those that are more administrative routine on consent. Although a couple of these kind of bordered, maybe they should have been administrative, but if the board is concerned about that, they can actually pull those at the item.
Then October 4th, there's going to be a special meeting of the commission to select the candidates for the new East Fork board, which you mentioned there.
That's correct, right. And that one will be pretty much an all-day session. The board will actually be going district by district within the East Fork Fire Protection District itself, and selecting a director from each district after they do a series of interviews. I think we're interviewing 2 finalists from each of the districts where there were more than 2 candidates.
Right.
And they'll interview them for about 15 minutes and then make a decision on it at that point. So by the end of the day, we should have 5 new district directors for East Fork.
Okay, very good. Well, Larry, I want to thank you for all the information you've shared here on the County Manager's Report. That's what we do. County Manager Larry Werner. I'm Lloyd Higuera, and we'll see you next time right here on the County Manager's Report.